Now that we know what objective summaries are, how do we write them for fiction versus nonfiction text? This section will help us to answer that question. On this slide are two examples of objective summaries. However, one is written based on a fiction story and the other one is based off of a nonfiction article. See if you can identify the differences. Read both examples, then move the arrows that indicate which summary it aligns with. Pause the video to complete this slide. The first objective summary is written as a fiction summary. To review, it includes the somebody wanted but so then, which reveals the main character, the motivation of that main character, the conflict that prevented the main character from achieving this goal, the way the main character attempted to solve this problem, and finally the resolution of the story or the way everything worked out in the end. The second example is based off of a nonfiction article. It includes specific dates, a real person, and a real specific location. It also includes real things that happened to this real person mentioned. These are all clues that are based off of a non-informational article or text. Pause the video if you need to make any corrections. Let's practice the skill of identifying fiction and nonfiction objective summaries once again. Read through each example. Both are on the topic of bullying, but which one is fiction and which one is nonfiction? Move the arrows to align with the appropriate text. Pause the video to complete this slide. The top example is the objective summary based off of a nonfiction text. We can clearly identify the parts of a nonfiction text objective summary, which include the who, what, where, when, and why. Sometimes the who is the what, which includes the topic. But in this case, we do have a person mentioned. We will get into that more in a bit. The second example is an objective summary based off of a fiction story. Pause the video now if you need to make any corrections. Now that we've identified a fictional summary versus a non-fictional summary, let's use some key terms to help us show the distinction between the strategies used for both a little bit more. Look at the word bank. If the term is specific to fiction, put it in the blue circle labeled Fiction Objective Summaries. If the term is specific to nonfiction, put it in the green circle labeled Nonfiction Objective Summaries. If the term or characteristic can apply to both, put it in the white circle labeled Both. Pause the video and complete the slide. Look at the blue circle. Since we know that all fiction has a plot, it's critical to mention the parts of the plot in our summary. We do so by following the structure of somebody, which represents the main character, wanted, which represents the main character's motivation, but, which represents the conflict in the story or what got in the way of the main character achieving their goal. So represents the attempt the main character took to solve that problem. And the then, which represents the resolution. Now look at the green circle. When summarizing nonfiction, it's critical to mention the answers to the following questions to make sure that the major information is all covered. We do so by following the structure that includes answering the following questions: who, what, where, when, and why. Now notice the white circle. Both are brief, and neither objective summary includes an opinion. Pause the video to make any corrections if needed. Time to focus our attention to nonfiction. Here you have an example of a good nonfiction summary written about bullying. Drag the arrows at the bottom to identify where each question was answered in the summary. Pause the video and complete the slide. Jennifer Darden is the person who wrote the article and an important person to mention in our summary. The what is the title of the article, which is Stomp Out the Bullying. The where for this summary involves schools or organizations, which makes that the main location of where bullying typically takes place. The when is the date mentioned, which is 2013. The why includes the staggering statistic, which involves 1 out of 4 teens being bullied. This is the main reason the article was written, to bring light to this issue discussed. Pause the video to make corrections now. Now transition your thinking into fiction. We know the structure or the way a text is organized will be a little bit different, so the arrows are labeled differently at the bottom of the slide. Find all the parts by dragging the labels to where that part was discussed in the summary. Pause the video and complete the slide. Ellie is our somebody and the main character of the story. Her goal, or the wanted part, was to be chosen as the lead role in the school musical. But, or the conflict, Rebecca was in her way of achieving that goal in the form of bullying. Ellie tried to solve this problem by ignoring Rebecca and trying out anyway. This was the so of our summary. The resolution involves Ellie accomplishing her original goal and earning the lead role of the school musical. Pause the video to make any necessary changes. This is the end of part 3. Click on the link for part 4 now on your slide.